Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HG Gundam The Origin DOM test type. Now, over the many years, I've assembled quite a few Gundam models, and I have to say this is the very first DOM that I've ever built, and I guess it sort of makes sense that it should be the prototype DOM, start at the beginning of the DOM timeline, I guess. And then I guess the next one will be a natural progression. But just want to say a big thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store again for supplying me with this kit to share with you guys, so big thank you to them. If you guys are living in Australia, do check out their site, the link is down below. Really nice kit here. I do have to say it is another great addition to the line. The HG The Origins line has so far been really nice. I've liked all the kits. There is one problem though, especially that stands out to me in all of the Zakus, and now it continues in this kit as well. Unfortunately, I'll point that out in a moment. It's a nasty seam line that really just shouldn't be there. So I'm just kind of disappointed that that still hasn't been fixed in this kit. That'll be on the arm. I'll point it out in a minute. Otherwise though, really nice kit in terms of just like the details and the articulation. The weapons, it's relatively minimal. We've only got 2 weapons, but they are really cool. I think you'd probably have to agree. So we'll take a look at those again momentarily. But otherwise, in terms of the stickers, we do have a lot. If you guys remember, we had all of these marking stickers, which you can put on this kit. I have not put any of them on except for the one on the mono eye. We do also have this one, a different version for the mono eye that's like black with just like the center glowing like that. So you do have a couple options. So yeah, just a really nice kit. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. So starting off with the head here, this piping is just molded in that shape, so that's not going to be able to change its shape at all. If you remember from previous kits in the line, the molding has like kind of creases in it where it's going to bend, so it doesn't really look the best. Your best bet is going to be getting some sort of other like third-party tubing to replace this part, probably, unfortunately, or do it in some other way. It doesn't look bad, but then again it doesn't really look great either. To move that mono eye, we can remove the faceplate here, and we can move the mono eye up about to there, so not a whole lot, but up is going to look like so, something like that. If you really want it, definitely looks pretty goofy. But then we can move it down and to the side as well, something like that. And that nice clear piece there, surrounded by this red, does look really good on the face. This kind of elongated nose there just really gives it that retro feel. So it definitely feels like it's older in the Gundam timeline. So it definitely fits with the prototype sort of image overall, and like the whole thing, just the colors is very much like prototype kind of colors, so it does really fit quite well. The chest has the same gimmick as the other Zakus so far in the line, where the chest kind of closes up a little bit, but it's really only a little bit. It's not as much as with previous kits. We do have a different option for the chest. This one is the one that is including the kind of 3 little windows there. There's a clear piece inside the chest. And we also have this chest. One is for making the space type, one is for making the ground type. So I just went ahead and stuck with this one. I think maybe if you use this one, then I think the chest can close in a little bit more, because I think this one does stick out a little bit more on the front. I'm not sure, but anyway, that gimmick is there anyway, which is pretty nice. The arms are going to come forward nice and far due to this polycap. Similar kind of style we're all familiar with, swinging out like that. Then while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and show you the shoulder armor can go up really far like that, totally out of the way. The arm you can bring up only about that far though, but what we can do is just sort of swing that up like that. So you're going to have, it's sad that this part of the arm can only go up that far. You can like readjust the angle inside here, but you're not going to be able to get the arm up at much of an angle much more than that. So otherwise, double joint in the elbow though, so full bend there on the elbow, and the wrists are just on ball joints, of course. Now here is the seam that I was talking about. This is a seam that all of the kits have had so far in the line, and let me pop the hand in now a couple times. As you're going to see, that's what the problem is. It's going to separate that seam quite a bit if you're switching out hands or anything. and just in general. So you're definitely going to want to put some glue on there to close that up. Just go in there and just totally remove that seam line. It's really not the worst seam line to get rid of, and I mean, I kind of even hate to nitpick about something like that, or even complain about something like that, because it's really not that big of a problem. My only problem is that I just don't see why that's even there in the first place. Bandai really should have just designed it as this. Let me get something to point with here. This piece should have been one part, and then this wrist cuff piece should have been a separate part that just fits onto there at the bottom. It totally makes sense like that. I really don't know why they didn't design it like that, but you know, I don't know. I'm not working at Bandai, so I don't know what really goes on there. Just to show you about the neck, I'm realizing I forgot to show you much about that, but the head is going to come forward and down like that, up only about like that, but if you wanted to tilt that eye up, you know, you could have it looking up nice and far like that if you wanted. So pretty good movement there, and like to the side, but your best bet is probably just going to want to be keeping it down like that. In the waist, again, we've got very similar movement as with the other Zakus so far in the line. Nice crunch there in the stomach. The problem with that is, and this is the same for the other ones too, this middle piece is just kind of like floating in there. If you bring the chest too far forward, then that kind of comes out from inside the back. Just kind of have to be careful when you're like lining it back up when you press that back down together. In the backpack, these thrusters do kind of move slightly, but I think not really. There we go. Just a little bit. So yeah, pretty cool. And this is where we're going to slide the heat sword, or heat saber I should say, sorry. And then for the skirt armor, this is another point where it's also really quite nice. The front skirts are just going to totally lift up like that. Really nice, completely out of the way there. The side skirts are going to move a little bit, but again, you're really not going to need a whole lot. The sides, they're cut pretty high there, so you're going to be able to get the leg to go all the way out to the side there, no problem. Back skirt is nothing, but you know, that's what you would expect really. So here we can see inside the waist too, we're going to have the hip is going to be able to swing forward like that if you want. That's helpful, I guess, but I don't know. I never really think too much about that, to be honest, when posing kits, so I don't know how helpful that really is, but I'm sure it does help a little bit. And then, of course, you're going to have some rotation at the top of the leg, double bend here in the knee to give you a really nice full bend there, as much as it's going to allow with how huge your lower leg is, but really nice mechanical detail coming out inside there, just really far bend for the knee. Up underneath here, we do have these thruster bells up inside of the leg, and then the foot here. The ankle joint is similar to the knee. The ankle joint is really quite elongated, so you're getting a really nice, good range of movement there. You can see you bring the foot that forward all the way down, and not too much just because it's the back of the foot is hitting there. But you do have a really nice forward movement there with the foot. You can bring it all the way up like that, so that's pretty cool. And then side to side like so, something like that. Anyway, so overall, just really, really nice articulation. This kit, you're going to be able to do some really fine posing with this kit, so that's good. But you're also going to need some weapons to do that. So let me just go ahead and show you. The first thing is going to be our open hand. So we do have just one open hand for the left hand, which is the same, again, same as the Zaku's. We had a left open hand just for like weapon support. Then we also have our heat saber. It's just two pieces, a gray piece for the handle and then the red piece for the saber itself. And again, this just fits through the backpack like so. It doesn't really have an exact stopping point. I guess when you get it to here, it does get a little bit more stiff, but just kind of rests in there wherever you're going to be able to get it to friction. So that's pretty good. And then of course we have our giant bazooka. Really kind of surprising, to be honest, that we got this huge beam bazooka. I mean, not the fact that we got it, but just the fact that this Dom test type has this, because it seems like a really advanced piece of weaponry, right, for like a prototype mobile suit. So it's pretty cool, I guess. This does have a clear piece for this camera here in the front. So let me adjust the focus there. I haven't put that in yet just because it's the kind of piece that like, once you put it in, you're going to have a really hard time getting it back out. So I've just left that out for the time being, but there is normally a clear piece inside of there. As far as movement, we have nothing really moving on here except for the handle. It's going to move forward and back, and then of course, as you can see, there is the trigger finger I've already got attached onto there just to save me some time, so that's just already on there. Otherwise, just really nice detail overall. Of course, this is going to have a seam line going down on the top and bottom of there, and you can see just some just the marks there, sanded, but you are going to have just that kind of white marking there, of course, if you're not going to paint. So yeah, just really nice. In terms of the height of that, as you can see, it's much taller than the Dom itself, so really large weapon, and we'll have to see how it handles the weight of that, because it's not really all that heavy, but it is just so large. So I don't think it's really going to have too much trouble, but we'll just have to see. There we go. Not really looking the greatest, but we'll have to fix that pose here in just a second. So here's what the Dom test type is going to look like next to the Black TriStar's High Mobility type Zaku 2. Very similar in size overall. The height is just about the same there. Bulkiness, obviously the Dom test type is going to be slightly more bulky, even though the High Mobility type Zaku there has those big bulky lower legs. The Dom is obviously, that's kind of like the big trait of the Dom, right? Those big, huge, bulky legs. So obviously going to be more bulk there, but overall very similar, and they do look like they're definitely out of the same universe. Just the way that they've been designed in terms of the model kits, I mean, just the details and everything match very well. Especially those thighs. The thighs are like basically identical on there. Just in a slightly different color. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they are exactly identical. I'd have to take a closer look. No, maybe they're not exactly, but they're really close. So yeah, just I like that. There's the one thing that I like about these kits too is that there's certain areas where there's a lot of detail, and there are certain areas where there's not a lot of detail at all. Like for example, on the Zaku, on the outside of the shield, there's basically nothing. On the Dom, like on the shoulders and some of the larger areas, there's on the feet there, front of the feet, there's a lot of areas too where there's a lot of open space with no detail. So I like that. I think the amount of detail that they have on these is very well balanced. It's a lot, but it's not too much. I think is definitely a good thing. So it's definitely not like RG level details, but it's close to that. So it's somewhere between there. It's nice, I think. Now, as you guys are probably well aware, I'm the kind of person that really likes posing my kits using an action base. Even if it's like ground type kits, I think that most kits just look so much better when they're like freed from the shackles of gravity up on an action base, and like you're just really able to do so much more with like the posability, with the articulation of the kits. This kit, though, I gotta say, is able to do some really amazing just poses on the ground. Just because of those big feet, it has really nice balance. And, you know, with really good articulation, you want to do something really dynamic, but sometimes doing some like really dynamic, exaggerated pose or something is hard to do while keeping the kit balanced without falling over. I'm sure if you've ever tried, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's what makes it hard to do poses while on the ground. You know, but this kit, I think you can definitely do that. Something like this, I mean, is even not the most extreme, just sort of like a dashing sort of pose here, but as you can see, you're able to get some really nice dynamic poses like this and keeping the kit nicely balanced and on the ground, so that's definitely worth noting. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to, if you wanted to do some pose like this, if you want to do any sort of pose not holding the beam bazooka, you don't have anywhere to put it. It doesn't have, anyway, as far as I've seen, and it could be that I'm just missing something, but I don't think I'm missing anything. There's no way to plug the beam bazooka onto the back skirt or anything like that, and even if you could, I don't think you'd really want to. I think it would probably look quite strange just because of its sheer size. Again, if you wanted, it really wouldn't be a very difficult thing to modify, even to, you know, put it onto the backpack or something like that, adding a magnet or just adding in a peg by yourself, just using a piece of sprue and a drill. You could just add a peg to attach this onto the backpack if you wanted. Something like that wouldn't be too difficult, but just be aware that if if you first, for whatever reason, you don't want to be holding the beam bazooka, you aren't going to have anywhere to plug that onto the kit. Now, although this kit is not able to plug that mega bazooka, that beam bazooka, onto the back skirt or backpack or anything, we do have those connection points. You'll see we do have on the side skirts and back skirt. Those are to use if you want to use any of the other, like the other weapons that came with the previous Zaku kits. Most notably, probably just the Heat Hawk you could use with this kit if you wanted, plugging that onto the side skirt, or the like extra ammo, extra Zaku machine gun ammo you can plug onto the back skirt there or something if you wanted to give this a Zaku machine gun. But again, if you're buying this kit, I would be really surprised if you really wanted to give this kit any other weapon other than that giant beam bazooka. That thing is pretty awesome, I gotta say. It's really, really nice, and what I like about it is that it has a lot more detail than like a normal HG weapon, I think. And that is one thing that has been true about this line so far as well. The long rifle and the bazooka available with the previous Zaku kits were really nicely detailed, and this one as well, and just because of its sheer size, it's definitely a very intimidating piece of weaponry for this kit. Now, that does streamline very well into the next point that I wanted to make here. One of the last things I want to say before we wrap up this review is that although this is a very intimidating kind of looking kit overall, it really is not a very like mean looking kit. It's not a very like menacing looking kit. If you wanted to have this like posed up with that giant bazooka and looking really mean and badass, you're just not really gonna get that with a face like that, with the face of this thing with those like old school style, like the tubing going like exaggerated way up high on the side of the face, and just like the long nose, and just the overall look of the face is just not a mean looking face, unfortunately. But that's just the design of it. I mean, if you want something that looks really retro, this is definitely, a kit for you. So that's just going to be, something you're just going to have to live with this kit. It's an awesome kit, really fantastic articulation, great posing options, really nice accessories, although it's not really too extensive, just this and the sword. But yeah, one thing I do want to also just mention too before we wrap this up is the fact of the possibility that I talked about in the unboxing, the possibility of parts of this being used or designed for a possible revive Dom. I still think that is possible, but I don't know. At this point, we have any sort of announcement about that, so it's really hard to say. I think it could be possible, but I'm not going to put any money on that at the moment, so I don't know, just a little bit of speculation about that. Thank you guys for watching. If you do have any other questions or comments about this, please leave those down below. I highly recommend this kit. It's a really nice, fantastic kit, especially if you haven't got any of the HG Gundam The Origins kits so far. This definitely would be a good one to start off with because it's a really, really nice kit. So thanks guys for watching, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.